Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. I'm still getting dressed. I am so sorry. Sorry for the delay. Traffic jam. And I'm not going to start. My heart is beating so fast. It wasn't that it was a traffic jam. They were picking up trash. Very important. But it was holding up traffic for many miles. Have you ever been in these traffic situations where it's like trying to get to work and there's one person with a pitchfork? Whew. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. It is great to see you this morning. Let's catch up from the weekend. We have a great show planned for today. A couple of different things. I'd like to catch up from the weekend. And also, excellent. There was one that was inside a plastic bag. That's probably in the same place. We're collecting some stuff. This is a catch-up day today, and I was on schedule to get here early to find a bunch of things. So I have a bunch of things to show you to catch up with. But also catch up with the weekend, because if you caught Friday night's episode, you know that my friend Rebecca Martin was here. She is here. Her company is called Storyteller Wool. And we did a great Friday night episode, Cocktail Time, where we talked about the rugs that she's been working on, her projects, her business. And she is such a lot of fun. She's such a technical person. We're like the yin and the yang. So it's always a lot of fun talking to her because she does completely different work than I do, and she works completely differently than me. I'm like 99% creative, 1% technical, and she is like the opposite. So it's so much fun being with her and talking together and getting her opinions, insights, learning more about her technique. That was Friday night's episode. So I hope you're able to catch that. And if not, watch it later. It's well worth watching because she sprinkled in so many interesting tips that I hadn't heard before, and maybe they were new to you too, but it was a great episode. She's such a lot of fun. She was with me these last couple of days, so we had some adventures that I want to share as well, because thank you, that's it. We found some fun stuff, and more on that in just a minute. Linda Ann, good morning. Thank you so much for putting the word out. Jay put the word out too. I was panicking from the car because I couldn't really do anything while I was driving at 4 miles an hour, Jane, great to see you. I will also update you on the book signing. It was very fun. Great to see you, my love. Carol, great to see you. Happy Monday. It is fun. Oh, I'm happy that you're live from Wisconsin too. Very happy. I was chatting a little bit with Kaz over the weekend, one of your fellow Wisconsinites. Such nice people out there. Sharon, great to see you. Rain long overdue, so it's raining today. Well, that's good. That's really good. And it's not like the most pleasant, but it is the most needed. Linda B, great to see you. I love those little emojis. How cute is that? They are so lush and summery. How fun. Good to hear you're getting the rain. Yeah, absolutely. Wendy, great to see you working on your split bloom garden in Pennsylvania. There will be a recorded class in the future. I haven't run it yet, but it's coming up soon. I think it's coming up next week. So I'm getting those out. I had to wait for more punch needles and frames. So those are scheduled, if you ordered it, to arrive today, both of those. They're both arriving from England. So I'm hoping that they are on schedule. But if for some reason they're not, I will either run 2 classes or I'll do something to accommodate everybody. But that particular, I'm going to show it again, that particular design sold like crazy, and it sent me into a real scramble for supplies, the Split Bloom Garden. Incidentally, if you are local, I am teaching Split Bloom Garden mini punch, Russian punch, at Plymouth Harbor Knits, the yarn store in Plymouth, Massachusetts, this weekend on Saturday. I think there's 1 or 2 spots left, but I think they fit 10 or 15 people in that class, and it's almost sold out. So if you are local, I will be there on Saturday teaching Split Bloom Garden as a kit with all those bits and pieces. So that's coming up in the near future too. Let me see. Yeah, classes, the classes for me, when I run a class, like a design light class or a technical class, I record it, and then it's available afterward to the people who signed up for the class or bought the product. So it's not just generally out there. It's out there for people who bought the product. So yeah, there's very few things I have that are behind paywalls, but those kinds of classes are. Obviously live shows aren't, and all, the hundreds of videos that are tips and stuff like that. Those are not behind paywalls, but the classes are. But those will be sent out for sure after I do the class. And let's see. Rewatch it, heartbreaking. Oh no, what happened? Oh, okay, catching up on news and stuff. Here, hang on, wait a minute. Oh, just catching. I'm just going to catch up with the thread just a hair because I'm late. I was just thinking, okay. Catching up. I'm sorry. Linda knew exactly what you meant. Joyce, good to see you. Good morning in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Great to see you. Linda Ann likes to split bloom. Karen, great to see you in Black Forest, Colorado. Bonnie, I sent you a message over email. Great to see you this morning from Palm Coast, Florida. You're wondering about that with the split blooms too. So the split bloom class, so the split bloom is available as just the class, as the drop-down box, right? So if you got it as a class and you can't make it, you can, if you bought the kit and you want just the class, that's a drop-down box in the product item number. If you bought everything and you want the class, but you're not going to be live, or you are going to be live, that comes automatically. So there are different products here, just the kit in the class, and just the class. So it wouldn't help you if you were doing another project, but maybe it would if you're like, I just want the techniques, right? So there's 3 different products for split bloom, and you have to do the drop-down box to choose the one that you want. So hopefully that makes sense. And maybe the link to it is still in the body of this video, I'm hoping. Kirsten, happy Monday from sunny Vermont. Good to see you. Before I forget, do not forget that Kirsten runs every Tuesday the hook-in from Kirsten 11 till 1 right now, right? 11 till 1. And the information for that is always in our Facebook group, which is Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club. So you can log on it and just chat and hang out. You can have your camera on or off, right, Kirsten? You don't have to be visible if you don't want to. If you want to have it on just for company or just to chat or just to listen in, get some tips. If you want to log on as a beginner and say, I'm struggling with this. Does anybody know the answers to this problem I'm having? It's a great opportunity to do that because it's such a knowledgeable group of people who meet and chat, friendly, nice people who can help beginners with basic questions and problems like that. It's a great opportunity, isn't it? So that is every Tuesday from, I think, summer hours 11 till 1. Kirsten, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what's in my head anyway. Candace, good morning. Good to see you. Judy, good morning. Good to see you. Let's see. Wendy, you just got the book last week. Oh, I'm so glad. I feel like I still have not had time to look at it in great detail because some people are saying, did my stuff make it into the book? I have not had time to go through the book and check, for all the contributors piece by piece, and I will eventually have time to do that. But right now I'm trying to get the second book done because I'm late, as you know. And I just want to put the shout out, right? Because it's like a core group of people who come to our live shows. The second book, which is the Design Like book that I'm putting out, can we talk about that for just a minute, just in case? Looking for my phone. Okay, phone is in my bag. Just in case. Sorry, I'm having an is my phone in my bag moment. Just in case you can help or contribute. I know many of you contributed the images for the book, but beyond that, the Design Like book that I'm working on now, right? This is just the beginning of today's episode, is made up of a bunch of chapters of different artists, just like the Design Like series that I teach, where we will look at a specific artist, for example, Monet or Frida Kahlo or Paul Klee. I mean, there's been a lot of artists over time, Van Gogh, and then lesser known artists, right? And each chapter is devoted to one of these subjects, whether it is an artist or it is a specific thing like toile wallpaper, right? Designing like toile wallpaper, designing like early American tavern sign, that kind of thing. So the thing or the person, and the chapter is devoted to that one subject, and why when you look at the work of that artist or that category of thing, mid-century modern, for example, it looks iconic, it's recognizable. How did that happen? How did that artist or how did that style evolve in such a way that it's recognizable at first glance? What sort of motifs, what sort of tricks and techniques go into the making of that style or that person's work that make it that recognizable? That's what the series is about, so that when you're designing, you can pull all these things out from the classes and say, okay, well, if I want to do something that looks like Frida Kahlo, many artists are out of copyright, as we know. She's not one of them because of her tricky family situation, right? That's like it's an active legal case. But that's what the whole thing is about, and that's what the book is about. So if you feel like, of the classes that we've had, and help me brainstorm right here, I'm still scattered from the traffic jam. if you feel like you have done work that is like an artist, whether you took the class with me or not, that I might be able to use for the book, please let me know now because I'm finishing putting the book together in like this week. So if you have work that you've done that is based on artists like Van Gogh, Paul Klee, Klimt, let me see if I can rattle off some more. I don't want to rattle off all because that would be my table of contents, right? But these are things I've done classes on as well. Helen Albee, so Native American designs, whether they are your original work or someone else's pattern. I prefer original work, of course, but also someone else's pattern. The Book of Kells, right? If you've done anything Celtic, I would love to see that. Some of the classes that have chapters based upon them. Marc Chagall, Frida Kahlo, let's see, Grandma Moses, Klimt, Gustav Klimt, Helen Frankenthaler, Hilna af Klint. Klimt, she was with the women modernists, right? Spiritualist painter. Magdalena Briner Eby is one of them. Maud Lewis is one of them. Matisse is one of them. Claude Monet, Vincent van Gogh, and vintage Vogue covers, right? So those are all subjects that are in the table of contents. There's a lot more than that, but those are ones that you know that I'm covering because I've done those classes. So if you have any work that you've done that you think could possibly fit or you're not sure, please send it to me at ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. Because as I was saying to Melissa this morning, my first choice is to use work that is done by my buddies, right? Because I see this as our group, and I hope that more and more people come and join in with the sharing of information, the elevating of the craft, and just the inclusiveness of anybody who wants to participate in this form. Rug making, right? Rug hooking and rug making. If you have anything that you think fits, I would love to use yours. I would go to that first before doing like internet searches and approaching people I don't know. So think about that with the work you've done in the past, because as I say, I'm putting it together this week. And send me a message to ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com when you think about it, because I would love to make it work using as many of your images as possible. And with this book, I have a lot more control over the text itself. The first book, I did not. I was approached for both of these books to write them, but the first book, I had no relationship with anybody at the publisher, and I was just doing what I was told, right? It was my first book, and that's how it works. But with this book, I am a partner to Rug Hooking Magazine, and I have written for them before, and I have relationships with a lot of people there. So I have a lot more sort of stake in everything, and I would like to use your images, and I can use your images. So April, good morning. Good to see you. Chrissy, good morning and good to see you. Happy coffee time. Cat's Gallery, great to see you. Jane's waiting a little longer in the UK for the book to come out. It's later in August, right, Jane? And it's a little bit later in Canada as well. Hey, Melissa, thank you so much. Kathy, great to see you. Good morning. 3 beautiful days in a row in New Hampshire. I am so glad to hear it. The temperature is really calmed itself at this moment in New England, where we are in Connecticut, because it was raging hot before. It's actually comfortable right now. Dave, great to see you. It's a mix of sun and rain in Toronto. It still sounds beautiful. I can't wait. I can't wait to come check it out. Karen, thank you. I got these when I dropped Rebecca off at Sturbridge this week. They were at the gift store that's right there at the public house where the McGowan Guild meets. And before I forget, I'm going to head over there on Wednesday, because there are 2. So the Pro McGowan group, right? They're certifying the next group of people, and Rebecca is one of those people. And they're at Sturbridge, Massachusetts, where they do the certification for X amount of years running. And then they are certified. So Rebecca will be certified this year. So I dropped her off there, and she said Wednesday there are 2 shows that are being put up for the public. And one of them, oh gosh, Benita, does anybody know the last name? That it was a huge rug hooking magazine ad. It was about like African American life. It was like based on 19th century wood blocks. Right? Do you remember that article? It was like a 35-page article. It was beautiful, I think 2 issues ago. Benita, help me with that last name. That whole exhibit, right? That whole exhibit of the pieces that were in that article is up. And also a McGowan exhibit, right? Of the people who are there and teaching and learning and all of that. there's two different exhibits up that are distinctly different. So I'm going to go on Wednesday during the day. I'm going to figure it out because it might be that I run a show later or I might run the show on Thursday. But I want to get that content to share because this is, as far as I know, the first year. Remember last year I couldn't go and take photographs because it was not allowed. This is the first year that it is allowed to take photos and to share photos on social media, from what I understand. So my plan is to go there on Wednesday and photograph and document both of those shows so I can share them. So it is a to be continued. I will run a midweek show. It's just when will I run it because I really want to get that in. I think that's really important to document both of those shows. So I'm really looking forward to that. And that is a to be continued. Let me see. But yeah, I got these glasses when I dropped her off. There's a really cute gift store right there. Catherine, great to see you in rainy Missouri. Great to see you. 11 to 1, Kirsten says. So she's confirming camera not required, and the summer hours for the hook-in every Tuesday are 11 to 1. So make sure that you are logging onto that if you would like to. What a great chance to get together. Linda N says, Kirsten's so funny because I was thinking this morning that I should log on today for your Zoom class. I think it was Tuesday. Not yet. We're almost there. Oh, Jill, great to see you. Cocktail Hour Friday was fantastic. It's so much fun having someone on who I love all my guests, but Rebecca is a very good friend of mine. And it's so easy to be with her. So it's so easy to run a show with her. And she does the heavy lifting, right? When we do shows like that, I just ask the questions and drink my wine. And she did a lot of the work that night, which was nice. But it's just another voice for you. She and I have been talking about, I hope she doesn't mind my saying, because we've been talking about it a lot, her teaching a number of classes for ribbon candy hooking, online classes, because she's so different than me, and she does completely different work. We do different projects. We have different styles. So we've been talking about that a lot. So be looking for some announcements on that front, too. I hope you have been looking at the new products, right? Juliet Page's stuff is up, right? The whole Chesapeake series is up. Joe the Flower Guy, Joe Moore's stuff is up. Some of you have been shopping on both of those brands. Kirsten Gay's stuff is up, right? There's a lot of sub-brands within ribbon candy hooking that are not my stuff, but other people's stuff. Lots of different voices, lots of different artists being represented right now. So I want to bring that in as a teaching angle too. With time being limited for me right now, I want other teachers to come in and teach things that I know are very different than what I do. And I think it would be behoove everybody to learn from different people and learn different techniques. And Rebecca is very technique heavy, so she's a fun person to work with. She is such a lovely person. I'm going to show you some pictures of our trip around New England this weekend. Hello, it's Martha from California recovering from a pinched nerve. Oh, that sounds really painful. I'm so sorry to hear that, Martha. But I'm very happy that you're there. Judy, have you ever considered collecting your Design Light classes recording into a bundle? Yeah, I could probably do that as a bundle. I haven't thought about that. I try to stagger them, right? Because I need to keep making money. I'm definitely right there at the red line at all times. So I need to I do this a lot, and I really appreciate the Patreon support because this is a huge part of my week, assimilating shows and running shows. But I really need to make money on classes too. So I have to make sure that it makes sense business-wise to have those out there. Because I am always right there at that line of like profit or not. And I am getting tireder and tireder with each passing month, particularly in the summer right now with this other book looming, my kids wanting to do stuff all the time and being right there with bills and stuff. So I'll have to see money-wise, it's a financial thing for me, if it works out to bundle them and make them any less expensive. Because at a certain point, I'm like right there at the bottom of what I can do. So it's a great idea, but it's a to be continued. It's a bummer that money is even a thing, but it is always a thing. And I found out yesterday that the studio space that I'm in was bought by somebody new. So my contract should be good for the year that we're in, but that's a bit of a shakeup because you never know when things change hands if someone is going to pull the rug out from under you. So that at this moment in time, with things being as busy as they are, is a real immediate worry for me. So I'm thinking about that. Also, we'll see what happens there. Hopeful Holler makes, good morning, great to see you. Martha says, I think that you are such an inspiration. Oh, I'm so glad. I try to keep things going, keep things lively, keep some ideas going. I have a lot of ideas for you today. I better get going, right? Claire, lift every voice. That's it. That was it, Claire. It was fantastic. That's the exhibit. Thank you so much. Lift every voice. That's absolutely it. So I'm going to see that on Wednesday. I'm going to take you with me because I haven't seen anybody photograph that exhibit yet. So, and at least I have not forgotten about the Coverlet Museum. I have not forgotten about that either. That's content that's coming up soon as well. Goretti, great to see you. I wonder if Mike's been working on anything new lately. Thank you for sending in everybody the gallery night stuff for this coming. It should be Friday. It should be Friday. It might be that I run it on Sunday. This is a tough week because I'm teaching again in Plymouth, and Plymouth is on the direction to Cape Cod. It's like one of the last towns before the Cape. So I anticipate traffic being insane, and I might have to stay over somewhere on Friday to be at class to teach on time on Saturday. Figuring all that out, and I'll let you know later in the week what the breakdown is. But this weekend I will run a gallery night, and I appreciate you all sending in such beautiful work for me to use. It is going to be a stellar night as always, right? As always. Bonnie, where do I begin with a rag rug? I have my tools, cut up rags, and a latch hook, a handheld tool. You are ready to go. So what you can do, do I have a latch backing right here? We talked about this. You know what? Let me answer that in just 1 minute. I'll just finish the last hellos, and then let's get right into it because that's one of the things I want to talk about. That's a great question. Thank you for putting that into the thread. Judy says, there's just single design like classes could be a companion piece for the next book. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. And I'm already thinking of the design like after that too, because there's so many more artists I want to use. But in this book, I wanted to have a pretty good mix of artists that were known and artists that I'm hoping you haven't heard of yet, but you're going to look at their work and hopefully say, where have you been all my life? You're my new favorite artist. I'm hoping I have a bunch of these in that book too. So I was trying to balance it out for like, give them what they want, part of the book, and then here are some amazing surprises. Have fun down the rabbit hole. Artists that you maybe haven't heard of yet. So yeah, it's a good mashup, and I'm already projecting forward to the next book, believe it or not, the next design like book. Bonnie, you don't need a pattern. I will tell you exactly how to get started. I'm very glad that you asked. It was a great Friday night. Linda Ancestors, a bunch of how-to videos. Definitely. Can you send in partially? Absolutely you can for gallery night, Jill. You can definitely send in partial projects or even drawings for projects. You can even send in your table with the supplies out and say, this is my color palette. I'm going to be working on something floral or still life, seascape. It's coming up. This is what I got so far. All my colors laid out. You can send me project ideas in any stage. Them being complete is not a thing at all. We would love to see what you're planning and what you're working on. So that'll be a lot of fun. So I'm gonna walk you in the way I was thinking to this episode, and then I'm gonna answer the question about getting started with a rag. So let me catch my breath a little bit. The scene is called Catch Up, which is appropriate, right? Got to get you a helicopter. I would love a helicopter. I'm still really keen. Rebecca and I, we were talking because we did some long drives this weekend, and I was saying to her, I'm still very keen to have like, I'm going to say Airstream as a placeholder. I know there's lots of different kinds of like trailer hitch things, but I'm dying to have one of those that's set up as a store. Not a store, like a studio, right? With lots of stuff inside of it, but set, like secured and set. So I can travel more and say, like, I'm going to park it at this place, have permission. I'm going to park it at this place on this weekend. We're doing a bit of a road trip thing. Would love to have you come out and meet us. It would be so fun to be able to be mobile and on rainy days to say to people, look, if you can make it up one step, you can come and sit down. We'll put our chairs in there. It'll be all snuggly and cozy, but at least we'll be together and we can film something and work together and answer questions. It'd be great to be able to do that. I am thinking about that all the time, I'll tell you, if you're stuck on ideas. Oh, thanks, Jane. Helicopter second, because I'm so afraid of flying. I'm so afraid to fly. I hate it. That's crazy because I was an ex-tour guide, but man, I've always hated flying. Okay, so things I want to catch up on as we go into this episode. Have you got your advent calendar secured? These are on pre-order. They're going to ship the first and second weeks of August. These are filled up 30 days for September 1st to September 30th. Materials, supplies, all kinds of things in these bags that starting on October 1st, I'm going to have a whole month. It's going to be called Hocus Focus Month, a whole month focusing on different techniques, different projects that we do together with the products that you'll find in these little bags. So this is the Autumn Advent Calendar. The link to this product is at the Ribbon Candy Hooking store. The link to it is in the body of this video under the description. This is loaded. This represents many projects that we will do together. Those videos will be free, but if you have the advent calendar, you'll be able to participate in a bunch of small projects and learn a bunch of new techniques during Hocus Focus month this coming October. The advent calendar is for the month of September, 1 through 30, 30 bags of treasures. This is also coming up. This is our next live Hookalong, and this product is called, it comes as a kit, and I haven't hooked it yet. That's why it's a colored version. In these colors, this is fluffy, has watermelon, and this is done as a mini punch pattern. So the link to this is also in the body of this video. If you want to hook along with me and you want to hook this pattern as I hook it, punch it with the mini punch, look for this product because I can still get this out to you. I have these ready to ship. Rebecca, right? So this is Rebecca. Just a reminder that we did that, or a food truck. Oh, Martha, don't get me started because do you know it is one of my dreams to have a food truck, specifically an ice cream truck. And one time, it wasn't around here, I feel like it was in Pennsylvania, I saw somebody with an ice cream truck and they were selling yarn. And I thought, oh yeah. When my kids are a little bit older, I could get them a food truck and they could maybe drive with me, maybe not on the highway, but it would be so much fun to have a food truck that like dispenses ice cream and supplies. And it would be really, really fun. I want to be more mobile, and I'm in my 50s now. My kids are getting a little bit older. I miss traveling, right? I haven't been a tour guide since I had kids. I would love to be more mobile, and I would love to meet more friends out on the road. I'm hoping that this coming year is going to be filled with that kind of adventure. So I hope you caught the Friday night episode with Rebecca. This is Rebecca Martin of Storyteller Wool. We ran a great Friday night show, and we had a busy weekend together. We went antiquing. I don't know why this photo looks so weird, because I did not use a filter. I don't know if I would know how to use a filter, but it looks really weird, like the light's coming in. I found this very pretty rug in an antique store in Sturbridge yesterday, and I'm going to show it to you close up, but I'm walking around the computer. The reason my heart stopped when I saw it, the reason my heart stopped is because I thought that it was, now hang on, I'm back. I thought that it was the same company. I'm going to trip on my rocking chair right here. Wait a minute. The same company. Remember this rug that I found a few months back while I was antiquing in Putnam, Connecticut? This one is a super stinker. Literally, it reeks. But remember this one? And how I have hit a complete dead end. It's not hand hooked, but it was handmade. It was a small company, at least in New Hampshire, and it was not hand hooked. It's yarn. It might have been hand or machine punched or shuttle punched or something like that. It's obviously like I would say a 1980s rug. But to remember when I had it's rough having it near my face. I still have to give it a little freshening up. I thought it was the same company, and I lost my mind. I was so excited. Hang on, let me put my, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here, but I'm putting my steering wheel cover over my combs because I do not want the teeth of this frame touching that rug because it's all yarn, you know. Let me do this. Hang on. Making things safe over here. So I thought it was the same company maybe that did that rug. Turns out it's not. Let's look at it a little bit closer up. It's still a beautiful rug. I thought it because it was this weird, very thin yarn. Thicker than this one, right? Because I didn't have this one with me, obviously, in my pocket. But when I saw it, I thought, this is the back of that rug. This one's a little bit thicker, but same kind of color, same kind of, feels like an 80s, 70s, 80s take on like a Jacobean pattern. And I thought, ooh, same color palette, hooked with yarn. This is the back as well. You can see it's in rough shape. I think this one was 85. It was also quite dirty. This is definitely punched. You can tell by looking at the back. You just bought Joe's Snowflake Cabin. Fantastic. Thinking of Christmas, Kathy. That is fantastic. Yeah, a couple of his patterns literally just sold. I saw that this morning. So that's fantastic. A great way to welcome him by getting some of his patterns out there and for Americans to be hooking them. Because now they are available in the U.S., right, as physical patterns because he wasn't shipping to the U.S. So he still has his site, I think, where he's shipping within Canada, but I'm handling the U.S. orders, which makes it easier because I'm just putting it out as a physical product here and sending it with our U.S. shipping. So I'm very glad that there are takers because they are fantastic patterns. Debbie says, ice cream and wool. Can't think of a better combo, right? Even in the winter, right? We could do like figgy pudding ice cream or goat cheese and lavender ice cream or something so exciting and different, right? It could be fun all year round. Kara, good morning in Illinois. Great to see you. Linda Ann just had a vision of the child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, but instead of kids hiding, all us hookers and punchers would become running out to get the goodies. I love that. That's the part of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang that I'm never that comfortable with. It's always like child catcher. I mean, now that my kids are older, I appreciate that, like the humor in the child catcher. But it is so scary when you're a kid that there is a child catcher out there. Absolutely, I can see that too. That is really funny. Hushabye Mountain is one of my favorite songs of all time from that show. I just love it. This was a beautiful rug, and I ended up not getting it because I realized what I loved about it was the design, the colors, the fact that I thought it might be the same as, I'm sorry, not ready for that one yet. Let's hold on that, as the one that I have. But it's not. But it was still a lovely rug, and it was a great find. 85 is a great price, but it needed a lot of work. And it was fun seeing something that was punched. It did look like it was punched with a shuttle. And the only reason I say that is because it looks like, coincidentally, a traffic jam on the back. Right? All of the little, you can see the way that it traveled. It's a lot of straight shots, and it's not really organic in the way that it flows. Could just be the way that person is punching it, definitely punched. But it could be that they're using the shuttle like this too, and it's kind of walking its way across. So sometimes those have different tracks, just like studying animal tracks in the snow or sand, right? It looks a little bit different. It was a beautiful rug, though. I really, really liked it. No, the class is only 20 for just the class. The class is, if you already have the kit, the class is only 20. So yeah, together, it's the same price. It's not like it's different if you buy them together. It's broken up. If you get it with the kit, you've still only paid 20 for the class. I don't like to do a lot on the classes because I want people to take the classes, and I want to make sure that the kit is the thing that I'm not making a loss on. But I never charge a ton for the class part because I feel like if you bought the kit, that's the thing, isn't it? So the kit is 20 extra, right? And it won't, like I said, since you already bought the kit, it's not like you're paying a different price than people that originally chose the kit with the class. You're still paying the same price for both. So at least that's the way it's supposed to be engineered on the website. And it doesn't have shipping or anything like that because it's not a physical product. So I could give you a class on how to lose it on another level. Deana, I laugh when you say you're losing it. Oh, Bonnie, I appreciate the challenge. If you knew what I was really like, none of you would like me or watch me because I am unhinged. And I love that you lose it too, and I love that you admit it because I think losing it is a great way to diffuse, right? I am not a person that keeps things bottled up, and I never have like a laundry list of grievances with someone that I one day snap and explode. Oh no, they come out as they come out, and that's the only way I can stay alive is to like blow off steam as I go, but it's a lot. It's a lot for the people around me. I appreciate that you're like that too. I love that. So different subject. I want to talk about this for just a second. I know I showed you this image before, or I think I showed you this image before. So switching gears, now I'm talking about the Design Like book that's coming up. And I just want to show you what I'm working on right now. I don't know for sure if I showed you this or if I just put it on my Facebook page, but when I went to New York City the last time, I was with my friend John, he was an old boyfriend. 20 something years ago. He has a son now, and I brought my kids, and we did like Rockefeller and Times Square, and we found this cute Irish pub to eat at. And before we got there, the kids stopped at FAO Schwartz, which is directly why he and I needed a drink like immediately after. So we stopped at this Irish pub, and the kids had this candy that they bought from the toy store FAO Schwartz. Remember the movie Big, right? That's the toy store. So this is the one in Rockefeller Center. And one of the kids, his son Felix, made this, it's a piece of candy paper with candy squirt on it. This is all edible and it's all candy. So he made this, and I've been working on it, just so you know what I'm currently working on, because I have been very secretive about this current book. And I feel like I can show you a few bits and pieces without being ridiculous. Oh, time check. It's super late, but I will run over today because I was late. One more time, take a look at this. Right? And so this is what I'm working on for my Helen Frankenthaler chapter, because she's a modern artist, and I was going to do this as a tufted piece, but there's no way I have time to do that. I just don't. I'm going to have to do the tufting stuff later. So I've been punching it, and I was literally punching this on Sunday morning while Rebecca and I were talking. That's the working side, and this is going to be the finished side. But you can see it's the candy. It's the candy with the drops of candy on it. It's the candy with the candy, right? The kids were wild after that, as you can imagine. soda and liquid candy and and candy paper. But you can see where I'm going with this and how easy this is to do with punch. This again is the working side. So whereas my original image, and this represents maybe 2 hours of work because punch really is so super fast. I like the colors too. The colors are dictated, hey Doreen, by this. So while this is only 4 colors, I thought, well, I want to do a little bit more with colors. So I did 2 of each color family. So 2 blues, 2 greens, 2 pinks, and you can see there are 2 whites. There's like a parchment and a straight up bright white. So 2 of each color. So I'm trying to stick with the photograph because it's for the book project and I want it to be pretty consistent. Gosh, what was I going to say? I'm using acrylic yarn. That's what I was going to say. For this project, you know, every project I do, I'm not using milled wool or some expensive yarn from an expensive store. I'm often using things that are thrifty, right? Because the thrifty spirit of rug making is the part of the craft that I like the most. Feeling like I'm using up bits and bobs and feeling like I'm making things without breaking the bank, right? And breaking my wallet. So this is all acrylic yarn. I got all this yarn at Joann's. It's these big stupid skeins that cost like $3 or $4 with coupons. And they are fantastic and they're in tons of colors. And it's super hard wearing. I had lots of colors to choose from. Super hard wearing and just a lot of fun. And I ran them right through the punch that I sell. We are still working on putting up the Amazon store, the Ribbon Candy Hooking Amazon store. But it's the punch that I sell right now just in the Ribbon Candy Hooking store. It's the equivalent of the fine punch, right? This is the one I've been using for this project. The acrylic yarn just glides right through there. And yeah, I know a lot of people are fans of the Oxford punch, and I'm a huge fan of the Oxford punch, and I'm a huge fan of Amy Oxford. I just love her. I love her. I love her business. I love everything about her and her work. But I don't always use that punch. Sometimes I use the less expensive punch because it works the same way. For me, it works the same way. And I will add that Rebecca and I were talking about this, the difference, because she's more of a puncher, I'm more of a hooker. We were talking about the difference between the punches and saying, like, you know, one of the pratfalls for beginners, and I'm not done, I will address the starting of a rug too. I'm trying to do chronology because I lose track of stuff easy. We were talking about how people sometimes buy different tools and the tools don't work well, and it trips that person up from having future success doing the craft. And that's what we don't want, is to lose people because they bought something that was like an inferior product. But my point of view, my personal point of view, is don't buy the most expensive thing because you're going to freak yourself out with sticker shock and you're not going to enjoy yourself anyway. I mean, that's how I would feel. So we were saying, like, you know, the punch I sell, I think, is fantastic. It's as good as anything, and that's why I use it when I'm working on projects. Obviously, the Oxford punches are fantastic. And you know from my videos, I do that hack of putting the little rubber O-rings or little washers on the tip of any punch to make the punch loop lower or higher so that I don't have to buy multiple punches. I don't. I just use those. Those are 5 cents each, right? You can get those at the hardware store. So I have videos on that. So there still are a category of, for example, punches that are very inexpensive and seem like a great deal, but then when you have them in your hand, right, because your materials should not matter. It's the punch that'll give you success or not success. When you're using, this is just a side note, when you're using punches that are very inexpensive, like from AliExpress or something like that, it might be that they're great, and it might be that they don't work that well. And when they don't work that well, what that means is that that metal tip is not going in and out of your backing really well. And one of the best tips I've ever heard that Rebecca gave to me this weekend, she said, make sure that people know that if they have a punch that is a budget punch, because you are on a budget, no shame in that, right? If you found something that is very inexpensive, but it's not working great, she said, take a bar of soap and rub it over your backing fabric. And then the metal, because it is the metal, it's not the handle, it's not the brand, it's the metal that they use to make your punch. Rub soap, regular soap, right, dry, obviously, on your backing, whatever it is, and then try punching into it. And you will probably have a lot of success with the least expensive punches on the market. Just saying. So that was another thought. So I was working on that. Let me loop back to starting a rug. because my first book signing was this weekend. It was very fun. It was at Madison Wool in Connecticut, and some of my buddies come out who do classes there with me because I teach there pretty much every month. So some of my buddies came out. We signed. Both my kids were there. They were wild, but it seemed to have been appreciated. They were allowed to sign some people's books, right? Because Teddy got cut from the book, as you know, and I'm not going to let that happen with the second one. But Joss is featured heavily in the book, and so is her work. So she actually signed her name. She remembered how to do her name in cursive, just her name. She needed to be reminded how to do a J in cursive because they don't teach it anymore. And she was signing her name on a page that had her work that I thought was really clever. I didn't realize that she even knew the book that well, but she does. So that was a lot of fun. And I brought some of the rugs with me that are in that book. And we were talking about them. Now here I come back to the question, how do I get started? One of the things we talked about, sorry, I'm just right here. Hold on one second. I'm going to show you one of the rugs that's in that book. And hang on. This is one of the rugs that is in the book, that just came out, that is #1 right now in Amazon for crafts decorating section, right? Thank you for that. It's called Easy and Beautiful Handmade Rugs. I always struggle with that because that's not my title. That's what they titled it. But they know what sells, right? This is one of the rugs that's in it. And this is a form that I call looped latch. And this is based on, if you have the book, you recognize this. This is based on an antique rug pattern of this little bouquet in the center and the 2 hearts. So I'm just doing it in a different form. And the form I'm doing it in for the book is rug hooking, so using loops in latch hook backing, right? So this is something that I know a lot of traditional rug hookers do not like to talk about this stuff, but this stuff is fabulous. So what I did with this piece, right, I used a ton of my paisley, and the reason I used my paisley in this piece, paisley scarves, right, 1820s paisley scarves here, beautiful expensive scarves, cut up a few different ones from antique stores, bits and pieces, because I love paisley. And when I hook paisley, let me see if I can bring you more in focus. Hold on, concentrating here, using all my brain power. There we go. When I hook paisley, I want to see the paisley, right? I want to see the design. And I feel like often, and I have, but I feel like when I hook paisley into any traditional rug hooking backing, rug warp, monk's cloth, burlap, linen, the loops come up so small that I can't really see the paisley. With this, in this giant backing, 3 holes per inch, I can see the paisley. And I can see even the flowers on it, and I can see the tomato, and I can see all the little bits and pieces that make up that paisley. The whole background of this piece is paisley. So I cut up my paisley with the scissors, hooked it, right? Hooked it with a latch hook. And I either broke off the toggle, which is sometimes fun, right, Bonnie? Or I tape it down. When I feel like subdued, right, I just tape it down instead of breaking the tool. But regardless, you can't have that toggle active, right, while you're trying to hook with it. But a latch hook works great in latch hook backing for doing rug hooking. So I cut up my paisley with the scissors for this project, and I cut up all of my colors of wool that I'm using in it with the scissors and with a rotary cutter, some of them with a rotary cutter, but mostly with scissors. And I didn't rip, I cut, because I didn't want frayed edges, right? I figured all the fraying would happen with the paisley and everything else would not be frayed. So this is a form in the book that is called looped latch, and it's basically rug hooking into latch hook backing. So to answer the question about how can you start a rug when you have some scraps cut up and you've got latch hook backing, you can absolutely make a rug with latch hook backing. And you know the bonus is you don't need a frame. You can't use a frame. You can put it on the dining room table and just put all your strips next to you, grab that latch hook, right, tape down the toggle or rip it off, right, depends on if you got stuck in traffic today behind someone with a pitchfork picking up trash. Then you might want to rip it off, but get rid of the toggle and take your pieces, just draw either with a Sharpie onto your background a very simple design like a flower pot with 2 hearts. You can use this design if you want to, you absolutely can. This is an old copyright free design. Or anything. You could just do geometric, do stripes around the edge just to get it going. Later on you're going to want to kind of envelope fold your corners, and I just stitch them down with twine. It's got to be a little bit heavier weight, but I just stitch them down, and you get very nice corners, right? There's no problem with having corners like this. They're totally under control. So I like the colors too. It's different than the original rug. But it's just a different technique. And this technique, it's not really about this rug, right? It's about this technique, being able to use a backing that everybody can get at the local craft store, the latch hook backing, which is much more common and much more sort of consumer friendly a backing to search for than any of the traditional rug hooking backings. You can get this stuff and either get a crochet hook, a rug hook, or the latch hook, and just use your cut up with a scissors material to pull it through. Pull up your loops, just like your rug hooking. It looks just like rug hooking, but it's just a different backing. So yeah, don't agonize about your pattern and all that stuff. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Just get going, get some traction going, even start at the border, get some traction going, get some confidence going. And as you finish the, be like you're making a puzzle, right? Border first. You don't always have to do border first, but maybe if you get that early practice in on the border, by the time you get to the center, maybe you're like, I'm feeling a sheep, right? Haven't said that lately. Or a tree, or a little house, or a bouquet of flowers, or something abstract. Or I'm going to keep going with the geometric. I'm just going to put lines in different directions now. All of that is going to work great, right? So the only reason I said start with the border is because you can make a nice heavy border that's really colorful. Bunny says beautiful. It's about dogs. Rug grabbing. See, the stupid heart is covering that thing again. Sometimes I can't tell what the messages are because of that. I'm gonna go on for about another 5 minutes, and I think I will, just based on time, because I have a pile of things to show you. I think I want, Bonnie, make sure you stay in touch and let us know if you're having any problems. Just go ahead and go for it. And you're not going to finish the edges like I finished the edges until you are all done. If you're like me, you might never finish the edges. The only reason I finished these edges was because it was for a book project. But if you come to my studio, you see I don't finish anything. I don't finish anything. Just kidding. So you don't worry about this part of it. Just worry about getting some loops into your backing and getting going with some confidence and get some speed going and get to the point where you're mwah, mwah, and then think about all the more technical stuff or other things you might want to try to do. Don't worry about the height of your loops. That's my opinion. Sometimes tall, wild loops are twice as exciting as low loops. So just see how it goes, but it should be a lot of fun. Yeah, I have a pile of stuff I want to show you here. Let me show you a couple of things that were cut from this book before we log off. And then I think I will join you. Oh, but see, Jocelyn has a doctor's appointment. They're worried she has like a little bit of scoliosis or something. She has a doctor's appointment. It's a specialist thing on Wednesday at 10. So let me think on that, and I'll get back to you about, because I will run a midweek show, but it might have to be on Thursday today. Because I was going to say I'll just do it in the morning and go to the Pearl McGowan thing later, but I forgot she has a doctor's appointment too. So that's to be continued. But I want to continue this conversation, and then we'll do gallery night on Friday, and then next Monday I will show you the photos that I take on Wednesday of the McGowan thing. Let me show you a couple of designs of mine that got cut from the book, right? And it's not that the projects got cut, it's that the chapters got cut. So some of the chapters that got cut from the book, the original manuscript, and these will be used for a future book. They will be used, but just not this book, because if you have the book, you know it's very thick. It's way thicker than a normal craft book. So some of the chapters that got cut are wool applique, the felt ball rug, and the needle felted rug, right? Which can be a rug, but is more of a technique. That goes really aligns with rug making and rug hooking. So I'll show you some of the designs that I made that were the featured rugs for two of those chapters that got cut. And you know that I'll be using them in the future, but just something to look at that is a bit of like an out, what do they call them? You know, when they cut something from a TV show or whatever, you know, and they show you later, not like bloopers, but you know what I mean. This was the design I had for the needle felting chapter. It was a brutalist design in the center, right, with these crazy flower pots, kind of like Mexican-style pottery pots that came up in this brutalist rug design with heart flowers. I think this piece was called Heart Flower something. Maybe it was just called Heart Flowers. But I did this on a colored backing, right, on this woven backing. I knew it was getting cut, so I didn't like finish everything off because I knew I couldn't use it. But do you notice I did a Deana in this one? Do you notice how three of the borders, right? Three of the borders are, the triangles are pointed in, and one of them accidentally One of these kids is not like the others. Classic. Isn't that classic? Man, was I upset when I realized I did that because it's not even worth fixing it. But it looks like this on the back needle felting. I was dry felting, I was not wet felting into this bright blue woven that I had found, and I did this brutalist design that I love. I love brutalist sculpture. That it was a bit softened by all of these heart flowers, but also included this border of these kinds of colored flags, right? So it had a bit of an ethnic feel to me. It had that like sort of British brutalist feel to me, but it still had a bit of a happy forest happening there, and these three little colorful pots at the bottom. So that was one of the projects that one of the chapters that got cut. And in the future, I will do more with needle felting. But for this book, it a lot of stuff got cut because of the size of the book. And I just want to point out they were asking me for this. I wasn't just like voluntarily hemorrhaging content. I was being asked for it. It's like a dance, trying to come up with the right. And you know, it's up to someone else what chapters are cohesive and stay, and what chapters go. So just more content for next time, right? So there was that one. It was a fun technique. More on that. In the advent calendar, there are elements for needle felting. So if you've ordered the advent calendar, just know that a needle felting project is one of the things that in Hocus Focus October, we will be looking at as a technique to do together live. I'll be doing lots of live content on needle felting. One of the other chapters that got cut was this one. This one is quickly ripping as I'm holding it. So I'm going to have to, I had this in storage for a while. This is it's going to be hard to see, but this is the felt ball rug. So these are all felt balls, smaller than dryer balls, but felt balls come in all kinds of sizes. I dyed balls, right? I dyed felt balls to be certain colors to do what it essentially was this giant granny square hexie of all of these colored balls, and they are all stitched together in a very particular way. I do have to tighten it up. It is splitting because like I said, I've had it in storage all of this while knowing that they weren't going to use it. But it is a great technique. I do have a hole right here, right? So I have to fix that. But I really enjoyed putting the rug together, and you do have to do it in a specific order to get everything to stay you know, you want the balls to fall into the gap between the next ball. You can do it much tighter or you can do it looser. I had mine a little bit looser because I'm going to use it on the table. But when I knew that this chapter was being cut, I kind of stopped working on the text and I stopped working on it. This isn't it, and on the edge, they aren't connected this way. They're only connected to the body of it, right? They're loose this way because that's part of the technique. This is another technique that we're going to be doing in the Advent calendar. So if you've got the Advent calendar, you know that there's some felt ball action going on. And one of the things that you'll be doing in October is making a trivet. Not all white like this, but you'll be making something probably this size with a bunch of different autumn colored balls that will come in the Advent calendars. So that's another thing, another video that we can do together. But I like this form because it's very contemporary. It's very hard wearing. You can put hot stuff down on it. You can put anything down on it, right? These balls go through the dryer in theory, felt balls, not this size. Again, these are not giant balls, right? This is the scale. I'm holding it here. But this is another thing that we're going to be working on in October. So you know that those are two techniques that will be present in the Advent calendar, and they're not things that everybody knows how to do off the top of your head, but they are things that you can incorporate into other rug making techniques. Or you might say, I love doing this felt ball thing. I'm going to buy colored balls, right? Or I'm going to get the white ones. I'm going to dye my own. I'm going to do garlands. I'm going to do trivets. I'm going to sew them together into rugs, right? Because they're very expensive to buy these rugs already made because it's very time consuming. But if you have the time, the balls are not expensive, right? And you can do any kind of pattern. We'll talk about that in October. But you can do any kind of pattern with the balls, right? And some of them are modeled balls and some of them are solid. So another thing to look forward to, make sure that you are signed up to get that Advent calendar, because once I have hit like, I don't know how many I put into the store, but in my head I have a number that I will only do that number and then I have to move on or I'll go nuts. So make sure that you're signed up for the Advent calendar because it's 30 days of goodies that we will use for your existing projects and for other projects. So let's continue this conversation because it's already 12:15. I have a bunch more things I want to show you from the book signing, rugs that are in the current book to work on. And I want to go down a bunch more rabbit holes with you, talking about rugs, future rugs, this book, next book, all kinds of stuff. So, again, look for an announcement from me because I probably won't be able to make it back from the doctor on Wednesday morning. Let me see how that goes. I will put up a post, but I will do a midweek show and I will do gallery night this weekend, but it is likely to be Sunday night because I am likely to have to travel on Friday night to be able to teach on time on Saturday morning in another state with summer traffic. So to be continued on both of those things, but I will be back with you. And if you are anywhere near Sturbridge, Massachusetts, make sure that you are headed to the McGowan show, right? At the, I think it's at, is it at the Public House? I think it's at the Public House. It's right there anyway, in Sturbridge. The Public House is like the staple old business, right? Where the hotel is and all that stuff, where they gather and where all the people are who are taking the certification and all that stuff. So I will be there on Wednesday to cover both of those exhibits and be looking out for times of the other two shows that are coming up this week. Make sure that you are sending me all of your work for gallery night this weekend. Make sure I have that so I can include you in the show before it gets to be a real rush. And make sure you think about the work that you have done thus far and whether any of the artists that I mentioned earlier in the episode, whether your work or your projects resemble any of the artists that I just mentioned, because I would love to use your work for the current Design Like book I'm doing right now for Rug Cooking Magazine, Henri Press. So think about that. See how that goes. You know you can reach me at ribboncandyhooking at gmail.com. I almost always say the wrong thing. I'm not going to say it because then you'll think the wrong thing too. But I'm still stuck like in 15 years ago with my email IPA address and all that stuff. A hopeful holler makes. Thank you for another. Oh, you are so welcome. God bless your sweet daughter and your. Thank you. I think she's absolutely fine, but there is something weird about her back. It could be that she's growing very fast. I'm hoping that's what it is. Do you remember those days of scoliosis testing at school that you're standing like this, feeling like an idiot while your shirt is up and everything? I'm very happy they don't do that anymore at schools because that was one of the most traumatizing things of childhood. But yeah, I guess the specialist will be able to tell us whether this is normal or at least get a baseline to start measuring the curve of her back. So hope there's nothing crazy going on there because you know she's a little firefly. Nothing's going to stop her. But I want her to live her best life, of course. So I will see you all. Look out for the dates coming up for the midweek show and the weekend show. I will see you for both of those. Have a great tomorrow, everybody. I will see you all soon. Make sure you send me your bits. Ribbon Candy Hooking at